The arrival of the alien assistant in a bustling city of the future. Humanity had made great strides in technology and exploration. A grand research facility, known as the Galactic Innovation Center, stood tall. Inside, scientists worked tirelessly on groundbreaking projects, blending human knowledge with alien technology. It was a place of discovery, and today was no ordinary day. Jack, a young scientist, had spent years studying alien biology. His colleagues admired his dedication, but often teased him about his obsession with the unknown. He would always say, "There's so much we can learn from them." His eagerness paid off when he received a message that made his heart race with excitement. An alien assistant was coming to join his team. This was a rare opportunity to work closely with an extraterrestrial being. As Jack prepared for the arrival, he could barely contain his excitement. He arranged his workstation, making sure everything was tidy. He even placed a small welcome sign on his desk, hoping to make a good first impression. Today, he would meet Zira, an alien from a planet far away. When the moment finally came, Jack stood at the entrance of the lab, waiting eagerly. The doors opened, and in walked Zira. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. With bright green skin that shimmered under the fluorescent lights and large expressive eyes, Zira exuded a mix of curiosity and excitement. Her unique features were complemented by elegant limbs and a small set of antennas that twitched with every sound. "Hello, Earth creature," Zira said, her voice a melodic blend of warmth and enthusiasm. "I am Zira. Thank you for having me." Jack's heart raced. "Hi, Zira. I'm Jack. Welcome to Earth." As they shook hands, Jack felt a surge of energy. Zira's grip was firm but gentle, and he could sense her eagerness to learn. He quickly introduced her to the lab, explaining the various projects and the important research they were conducting. Zira listened intently, her eyes wide with wonder. "What is this device?" she asked, pointing to a complex machine that hummed softly in the corner. "That's our molecular synthesizer," Jack replied. "It helps us create new materials at the molecular level." Zira's eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Can it create things like my planet's sweet crystals? They taste delicious." Jack chuckled, amused by her enthusiasm. "Well, not quite, but maybe we can figure something out together." As the day went on, Jack and Zira began to bond over their shared interest in science. They exchanged stories about their worlds. Jack spoke of Earth's blue skies, diverse landscapes, and rich cultures. Zira shared tales of her planet's vibrant colors and fascinating creatures. The differences in their worlds amazed them both, but they found common ground in their passion for exploration and knowledge. However, as they delved into their work, Jack noticed that Zira's curiosity came with a unique flair. She often touched things without fully understanding their purpose, leading to humorous accidents. At one point, she accidentally activated a small device that released a shower of sparks, causing Jack to leap back in surprise. "Oops. Sorry, Earth creature," Zira exclaimed, her antennas flicking with excitement. "What does this do?" Jack couldn't help but laugh. "That was meant to be a simple communicator. Let's keep it away from the spark-generating devices for now." The day continued with laughter and teamwork, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling of nervousness. He was excited to have an alien assistant, but what if he couldn't keep up with her energy and enthusiasm? What if they didn't understand each other as well as he hoped? Later, during their lunch break, Jack took Zira to the cafeteria. As they sat together, he introduced her to some of Earth's traditional foods. Zira eyed the colorful dishes with a mix of confusion and excitement. "What is this? It looks like a colorful earth ball," she said, picking up a slice of pizza. Jack chuckled. "That's pizza. It's one of our favorites. Give it a try." With a hesitant bite, Zira's face lit up with delight. "It tastes amazing. How do you create such flavors?" Jack explained the process of making pizza, sharing the joys of cooking and food. Zira listened intently, her eyes shining with curiosity. They shared stories of their favorite meals, laughing and enjoying each other's company. As the day drew to a close, Jack felt a warmth growing in his heart. He had been worried about working with an alien, but Zira's spirit and enthusiasm made everything feel effortless. They had made great progress together, and he couldn't wait to see what the future held. Just before leaving, Zira turned to Jack with a grin. "I think we will make a great team, Earth creature. I am excited to learn more about your world." Jack smiled back, feeling a sense of hope. "And I'm excited to learn about yours. Together, we can discover amazing things." As they exited the building, the sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city. Jack knew that this was just the beginning of an incredible adventure with his new alien assistant. Together, they would explore the unknown and bridge the gap between their two worlds, one experiment at a time. Unforeseen consequences. The next morning, Jack arrived at the Galactic Innovations Center with a spring in his step. He was eager to continue working alongside Zira. But today would take an unexpected turn. The air felt different, charged with a sense of anticipation that neither of them could quite explain. As Jack entered the lab, he found Zira already at her station, her large eyes glued to a holographic display. She was analyzing the results of their first experiment, a blend of Earth and alien technology designed to enhance energy efficiency. The moment he walked in, Zira turned to him, her antennas twitching in excitement. "Good morning, Earth creature. Look at these results. We are making progress," Zira exclaimed, her voice bubbling with joy. "Morning, Zira. That's fantastic," Jack replied, feeling proud of their work together. They spent the first hour discussing the data and refining their project. Jack felt energized, ready to tackle the challenges ahead. However, as they worked, he began to feel a twinge of anxiety. A new experiment required precise calculations and Zira's full attention, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As they prepared to start the next phase of their project, Jack felt a wave of stress wash over him. He had always been dedicated, but the pressure of working with an alien assistant made him nervous. In a moment of frustration, he accidentally knocked over a bottle of experimental pheromones meant to be used in a different project. The small glass vial shattered on the floor, releasing a cloud of shimmering mist into the air. "What is that?" Zira asked, her antennas perked up, intrigued by the new scent wafting through the lab. Jack, caught off guard, quickly responded, "It's just an experiment gone wrong. Nothing to worry about." But even as he spoke, he could feel the effects of the pheromones starting to kick in. A strange warmth spread through him, and he noticed Zira's expression changing. Zira's large eyes widened as she inhaled the pheromones, her demeanor shifting from curiosity to something more intense. "Earth creature, I feel different." Her voice became softer, almost melodic. She took a step closer, her gaze locked onto Jack with an intensity he had never seen before. Zira, are you okay?" Jack asked, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. He had read about the effects of pheromones on different species, but he never imagined they would have such an immediate impact on Zira. Instead of answering, Zira moved even closer, her eyes sparkling with fascination. "Your scent is intoxicating," she exclaimed, leaning in with an eagerness that left Jack momentarily speechless. He felt a rush of heat flood his cheeks. Suddenly, Zira grabbed Jack's arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "I must know more about you. What is this feeling?" she said, her voice rising in pitch. Jack felt his heart race. I think it's just the pheromones. We should focus on the experiment." But Zira was no longer listening. She was overwhelmed by the pheromones, and her instincts were taking over. Before he knew it, Zira began to dance around the lab, her movements fluid and playful. She twirled with delight, her laughter echoing off the walls. Jack couldn't help but chuckle at her antics, but a part of him felt a surge of panic. This was not how he imagined their work together would go. "Zira, let's calm down," Jack called out, trying to regain control of the situation. But Zira was lost in her own world, oblivious to Jack's pleas. She began exploring the lab, touching every piece of equipment with a childlike wonder. "What does this do?" she asked, picking up a small device. Jack's heart sank as he recognized it was one of their most sensitive tools. "No, no, be careful," he exclaimed, rushing over to her just as she pressed a button. The machine whirred to life, sending sparks flying in every direction. "Oops," Zira giggled, her laughter ringing through the chaos. "It's so fun to explore." Jack, torn between amusement and fear, realized he needed to intervene. "Zira, let's take a step back. We need to focus on the research." But Zira seemed unfazed by his concerns. She grabbed a handful of colorful components and held them up like trophies. "Look at these. They are beautiful." In that moment, Jack realized that Zira's behavior was a direct result of the pheromones. They were meant to enhance communication and bonding between species, but instead, they had triggered a wild response in her. He needed to find a way to bring her back to reality. Jack took a deep breath, trying to gather his thoughts. "Zira, can you hear me?" He spoke slowly, hoping to break through the haze of excitement surrounding her. "We need to focus on our project. Let's work together." Zira paused for a moment, her expression softening. "You're right, Earth creature. I got carried away." She placed the components down and turned her attention back to Jack, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Let's clean up this mess and focus on our experiment. We have so much potential together, but we need to work as a team." With renewed determination, Zira nodded, her expression shifting back to one of focus. "Yes, let's do this. I am ready to learn." As they began to clean up the lab, Jack couldn't help but smile. Despite the chaos, he had seen a glimpse of Zira's vibrant spirit. He realized that their partnership would be filled with challenges, but together they could navigate any obstacle. Little did they know, this was only the beginning of their adventures. The pheromones had opened a door to a deeper connection, and Jack was eager to explore it, even if it meant facing unforeseen consequences, unraveling the mystery. After the chaotic morning in the lab, Jack and Zira settled into a more focused rhythm. Jack marveled at how quickly Zira bounced back, her curiosity reignited after their brief encounter with the pheromones. They began to work together, diving deep into their project and exploring the merging of Earth and alien technology. But amidst the excitement, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that their experience with the pheromones had changed something between them. As the day progressed, Jack noticed a subtle shift in Zira's behavior. She would steal glances at him when she thought he wasn't looking, her expression a mixture of wonder and admiration. Each time their eyes met, he felt a strange connection, a bond that he had never anticipated. "Zira, can you pass me that tool?" Jack asked, pointing to a complex device on the table. As she reached for it, their fingers brushed lightly, sending a jolt of electricity through both of them. Jack quickly pulled his hand back, his heart racing. Zira's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, the air around them felt charged. "Sorry, I didn't mean to," Jack stammered, feeling embarrassed. Zira's expression softened. "It is fine. I am curious about humans," she admitted, her voice quieter than before. "Your species is so fascinating." Jack chuckled nervously, his cheeks warming. "We're not that special, really, just trying to make it through each day like everyone else." Zira tilted her head, her antennas twitching as she studied him. "You're special. You have unique emotions and thoughts. I wish to understand them better." Jack felt a strange mix of flattery and unease. He wasn't sure how to respond, so he turned his focus back to the project. "Right. Let's see if we can improve the energy efficiency of this design. I think we can add some of your technology to make it work better." As they worked, Jack's mind wandered back to the pheromones and their unexpected effect on Zira. He wondered if there was a way to harness that energy, to turn it into something productive instead of chaotic. After some thought, an idea struck him. "Zira," he said, pausing to gather his thoughts, "what if we create a controlled environment to study the effects of the pheromones more closely? We could document how they influence behavior and communication between our species." Zira's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That is a brilliant idea. We can learn so much from it." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Jack felt a surge of excitement at the prospect of their experiment. They spent the next few hours setting up a special chamber that could contain the pheromones while allowing them to study their effects. They adjusted the controls to ensure they could monitor everything closely. Jack felt proud of their progress, but a hint of anxiety lingered. What if the pheromones had unintended consequences again? As they prepared for the experiment, Zira shared stories of her home planet, Zyra Prime. She spoke of its vibrant colors and strange creatures, painting a picture that mesmerized Jack. He found himself captivated by her descriptions, feeling a longing to experience her world. "What about you, Earth creature? What is your planet like?" Zira asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Jack paused, thinking about his home. "Earth is beautiful, but it can also be a bit overwhelming. We have vast oceans, towering mountains, and bustling cities. But there's also pollution and conflict. Sometimes I wish we could learn from other worlds, like yours." Zira nodded thoughtfully. "Every planet has its struggles, but they also have their beauty. We can learn from each other." As their conversation deepened, Jack felt the atmosphere around them shift. The pheromones had opened a door, creating a connection that transcended their differences. He felt a sense of camaraderie with Zira that was both exciting and frightening. "Ready for the experiment?" Zira asked, her voice bringing him back to the present. "Yeah, let's do it," Jack replied, a mix of nervousness and anticipation coursing through him. Zira carefully released a small amount of pheromones into the chamber, and they both stepped back. Almost immediately, the air grew thick with the scent, a blend of earthy and sweet aromas that filled the room. They watched intently as the pheromones began to take effect. As the minutes passed, Jack noticed changes in Zira. She became more animated, her movements fluid and graceful. Her laughter filled the air, infectious and uplifting. Jack felt the warmth of her energy, and it drew him closer. "Jack, this is incredible. I can feel everything more clearly," Zira exclaimed, her voice a melodic tone. Jack felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with confusion. "I'm glad, but I hope we can maintain some focus here," he replied, trying to keep his own feelings in check. Zira approached him, her expression playful. "What if we use this to communicate better, to understand each other's feelings?" As she leaned in closer, Jack felt his heart race. The connection they had forged through the pheromones felt almost electric. "I think we could really learn from this," he agreed, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. Just then, the room seemed to buzz with energy as they began to explore the depths of their understanding. They shared stories, feelings, and laughter, allowing the pheromones to guide their connection. In that moment, the boundaries between them faded, and they became partners in discovery. However, as they delved deeper, Jack knew they were only beginning to scratch the surface of what this journey would mean for both of them. The day had been filled with surprises, but he couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead. Would the pheromones continue to affect their relationship, or would they be able to harness that energy for something greater? Only time would tell. A deeper connection. The experiment with the pheromones had opened a new chapter in Jack and Zira's partnership. Each day brought fresh discoveries and challenges as they explored the intriguing world of interspecies communication. However, the effects of the pheromones lingered, creating an undeniable bond that was both thrilling and perplexing. In the days that followed, Jack noticed a distinct change in Zira. Her initial curiosity had evolved into something deeper. She began to mirror his emotions, her reactions becoming more synchronized with his thoughts. During their work sessions, they would often finish each other's sentences, a clear sign of their growing connection. One afternoon, while reviewing their data from the pheromone experiment, Zira seemed unusually distracted. Her eyes wandered around the lab, but Jack could tell her mind was elsewhere. "Zira, are you okay?" Jack asked, leaning closer. She turned to him, her expression softening. "I am well, Jack. It's just, I find myself thinking about how different our worlds are. I feel a strong pull to understand you and your experiences." Jack felt a warmth spread through him. "I feel the same way. I've never had a connection like this before." Zira tilted her head, her antennas twitching slightly. "I want to know what it is like to be human. Can you share more about your emotions?" Jack paused, surprised by her request. It wasn't often that he thought about his emotions in such detail. "Sure, I guess. Emotions can be confusing sometimes. For example, I feel happiness when I'm working with you, but I also feel anxious about how this connection might change everything." Zira nodded, her eyes locked onto his. "I understand. My emotions are different, but I also feel them strongly. Your presence brings me joy, but it also confuses me." Jack was taken aback by her honesty. "Confused? How so?" Zira took a deep breath, her voice becoming more serious. "I am an alien. You are human. There are expectations, limitations, and differences between our species, but I do not want those to define us." Her words resonated with Jack. "I agree. I want to explore what we have without the barriers. But how do we do that?" Zira pondered this for a moment before a smile broke through her thoughtful expression. "Let's take a break from our experiments and explore our feelings outside of the lab. We could learn more about each other in a different setting." Jack's heart raced at the thought. "You mean like going out together?" "Yes, I want to experience your world, even if just for a moment," Zira said, her excitement infectious. After a brief planning session, they decided to visit a nearby park that Jack frequented. He knew it would be a perfect spot to enjoy nature while allowing Zira to see a different side of humanity. They arranged to meet the next morning. As the sun rose the following day, Jack felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. He had never imagined spending time with an alien in such a personal way. What if Zira didn't enjoy it? Would their connection deepen, or would it falter? When Jack arrived at the park, he found Zira waiting for him, her skin shimmering in the sunlight. She wore a simple outfit made of fabric she had designed, combining elements of her own culture with human styles. Jack felt a swell of pride at how she had embraced his world. "Hello, Jack," Zira greeted, her eyes sparkling. "This place is beautiful." "It is, isn't it?" Jack replied, smiling. "I thought you might enjoy the fresh air." They strolled through the park, surrounded by trees and the sounds of chirping birds. Zira looked around in wonder, her fascination evident. "Your planet has so much life. It feels vibrant and full of energy." Jack pointed out various plants and animals, sharing stories about his childhood experiences in the park. Zira listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Your experiences are fascinating. I can't wait to learn more." As they continued their walk, Jack noticed a small pond nearby. He suggested they take a break and sit by the water. They found a bench, and Jack watched as Zira gazed at her reflection in the pond, her face lit with awe. "Do you ever look at yourself and wonder who you are?" Zira asked, her voice soft. Jack thought for a moment. "I think we all question ourselves from time to time. It's part of being human." Zira turned to him, her expression earnest. "I feel different every day. Being here with you is helping me understand myself better." Jack felt a surge of warmth in his chest. "You're not alone in this. We can figure it out together." The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park. As the light faded, the atmosphere around them shifted, becoming more intimate. They began to share their fears and hopes, building a deeper understanding of each other. Jack hesitated before speaking, unsure of how to express the feelings bubbling inside him. Zira, I have to admit, I feel drawn to you in ways I never expected. It's scary, but also wonderful. Zira's eyes softened. I feel it too, Jack. My emotions are more intense when I'm with you, and it confuses me, but I want to explore it. At that moment, they both leaned closer, a silent understanding passing between them. Their hearts raced as they grappled with the realization that they had crossed a line, one that could not be uncrossed. Suddenly, Zira pulled back, her expression shifting to one of concern. What if this is just the pheromones? What if it's not real? Jack took a deep breath, grounding himself. I don't think it's just the pheromones. This feels genuine. We have shared so much together. I believe there's something real here. Zira searched his eyes, uncertainty still lingering. Then let us discover this together. I want to understand what we have, but we must tread carefully. Jack nodded, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. Agreed. Let's take our time and see where this journey leads us. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Jack and Zira sat together, lost in conversation, laughter, and dreams. They were no longer just a human and an alien. They were partners on a journey to uncover the mysteries of their connection. Unforeseen consequences. As the days turned into weeks, Jack and Zira's bond grew stronger. Each moment they spent together deepened their understanding of one another, allowing them to navigate the complexities of their unique relationship. However, their connection was not without its challenges, and they soon discovered that the world around them was not as welcoming as their private moments together. One day, Jack and Zira decided to present their findings on the pheromone experiment to their research team. They hoped that by sharing their results, they could encourage collaboration and understanding among their colleagues. Zira was nervous but excited. She wanted to show everyone how much she had learned about humanity. As they entered the conference room, Jack felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. He knew that Zira would face scrutiny from some of their peers. Alien encounters were still a controversial subject, and not everyone was open to the idea of working with extraterrestrial beings. Remember, just be yourself, Jack whispered to Zira as they took their seats at the front of the room. Zira nodded, her antennae twitching in anticipation. Thank you, Jack. I will try my best. As the presentation began, Jack explained the scientific aspects of the pheromone experiment, detailing the data they had collected and the results they had observed. Zira chimed in, sharing her unique perspective on emotions and how they could enhance human-alien relationships. However, as they spoke, Jack noticed a few members of the research team whispering among themselves, casting skeptical glances at Zira. He felt a twinge of frustration but continued with their presentation. While we initially thought the pheromones were just a biological response, we've discovered that they can also influence emotional connections, Zira explained passionately. This could lead to greater cooperation between our species. Suddenly, a scientist named Dr. Klein stood up, interrupting them. This is all well and good, but how can we trust your findings? Your emotional bias is clouding your judgment. Jack's heart sank. He could see Zira tense beside him, her antennae drooping slightly. Dr. Klein, our data is based on rigorous testing and observations, Jack replied, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. We are not suggesting that emotions are the only factor, but they are significant. Dr. Klein crossed his arms, skepticism written all over his face. I still don't think it's wise to pursue this path. Working with aliens could endanger our future. We must focus on protecting humanity. Zira looked visibly hurt, but she stood her ground. I understand your concerns, Dr. Klein, but the potential for cooperation and understanding is far greater than any fear. We must look beyond our differences. Another scientist chimed in, and what if this leads to conflict? How can we be sure your kind won't turn against us? Jack could see the frustration building in Zira. We are not your enemies. We are here to learn and grow together. But we cannot achieve this if we continue to live in fear. The room fell silent as Jack sensed the tension in the air. He took a deep breath, looking at Zira before addressing the group. What we need is an open dialogue. We must work together to find solutions rather than let fear dictate our actions. Despite their passionate pleas, the meeting ended without resolution. As they left the conference room, Jack could feel Zira's disappointment. "I'm sorry, Zira. I thought they would be more open to our ideas," he said softly. "It's okay, Jack. I expected resistance," Zira replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it hurts to be dismissed like that. I want to help, not harm." That evening, Jack invited Zira to his apartment for dinner. He hoped to lift her spirits and remind her of the progress they had made. They cooked together, laughter filling the kitchen as they shared stories about their cultures and experiences. However, as they settled down to eat, Zira's mood remained subdued. "Do you think I made a mistake by joining this project?" she asked, her eyes downcast. "No. You brought a new perspective to our research. Don't let their doubts dim your light," Jack reassured her. "We are doing something important. It just takes time for others to see it." Zira sighed, her expression thoughtful. "But what if they never accept me? What if I never belong?" Jack reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "You belong with me. We can create our own space, our own understanding, even if others don't see it yet." Her eyes brightened slightly, but the doubt lingered. "Thank you, Jack. You make me feel accepted, but I fear for what lies ahead." Just then, the communication device on the wall beeped, interrupting their moment. Jack glanced at it, sensing something urgent. He activated it, and the screen flickered to life, displaying the face of Commander Davis. "Jack, Zira, we have a situation. I need you both at the command center immediately." Jack's heart raced. "What's going on?" "There's been a breach in security. We believe someone is trying to sabotage the research project, and they might be targeting Zira specifically." Zira's face went pale. "What? Why would anyone target me?" "Some may see your presence as a threat," Commander Davis explained. "We need to investigate this immediately. Meet us at the command center. Bring Zira with you." Jack's protective instincts surged as they prepared to leave. "Let's go, Zira. We'll figure this out together." As they rushed to the command center, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that their bond was about to be tested in ways they never imagined. The challenges ahead would not only test their partnership, but also the strength of humanity's willingness to embrace the unknown. "You said." Shadows of doubt. As Jack and Zira entered the command center, the atmosphere was tense. A group of scientists and security personnel had gathered around a large screen displaying surveillance footage from the research facility. The room buzzed with hushed voices, and Jack could feel the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. "Thank you for coming so quickly," Commander Davis said, his brow furrowed. "We've been analyzing the footage from the last few days, and we have reason to believe that someone is sabotaging our project." Zira's eyes widened. "Why would anyone want to harm the research? We're trying to foster understanding between our species." Commander Davis nodded gravely. "That's exactly the point. Some individuals see your presence as a threat to humanity. They believe that if we grow closer to aliens, we may lose our identity or, worse, become vulnerable to invasion." Jack's heart raced at the thought of someone wanting to harm Zira. "Who is behind this? Do we know?" "We have a suspect," Davis replied, pointing to the screen. "This is Dr. Klein. He was seen near the lab late at night, and we believe he may have tampered with some equipment." Zira felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. "But he seems so opposed to our work. I thought it was just skepticism." "Sometimes, skepticism can turn into something more dangerous," Jack said, clenching his fists. "We can't let him sabotage everything we've worked for." Davis continued, "We need to gather evidence against him without alerting him. We suspect he may have allies who share his views. If they realize we're onto them, it could escalate." Zira looked troubled. "What can we do?" "I don't want to cause any trouble." Jack squeezed her hand gently. "You won't be alone in this. We'll figure it out together." "Here's the plan," Commander Davis said, bringing up a schematic of the research facility. "We'll assign you both to observe Dr. Klein and gather information. Zira, your ability to communicate with the alien systems may give you an advantage." "Me? But what if he suspects something?" Zira's voice trembled slightly. "Trust your instincts," Jack encouraged. "You're not alone in this. I'll be right there with you." As they strategized, Jack felt a surge of determination. He refused to let anyone hurt Zira or undermine their mission. They would face this challenge head-on. Later that night, they settled into a hidden observation room overlooking Dr. Klein's lab. The dim light of the screens illuminated their faces as they waited for the doctor to arrive. "What if he's not as bad as we think?" Zira whispered, her eyes darting nervously. "Maybe he's just misunderstood." "Misunderstood or not, he poses a threat to our work," Jack replied, keeping his voice steady. "We need to be vigilant." As the minutes turned into hours, Jack and Zira shared quiet moments, discussing their hopes and fears. Zira spoke about her home planet and how they valued collaboration and unity among species. Jack listened intently, fascinated by her stories. Suddenly, the door to the lab creaked open, and Dr. Klein stepped inside, looking over his shoulder as if checking for spies. He moved swiftly, his expression hardening as he approached a console. "Is he doing something?" Zira asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't know yet. Just stay alert," Jack replied, focusing on the screen. Dr. Klein began typing furiously, his eyes flicking between different displays. Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. They needed to find out what he was planning. "Look," Zira said, pointing at the screen. "He's accessing the database for the pheromone research." "What's he doing?" Jack asked, his heart racing. "Looks like he's deleting files," Zira replied, her voice trembling. "He's trying to erase our work." "Not on my watch," Jack muttered. He quickly activated a recording device to capture the evidence. As they recorded, Zira's antennae twitched with agitation. "We need to stop him before it's too late." "Wait. We need proof," Jack said, keeping the recording going. "We can't confront him without evidence." But Zira's patience was running thin. If we wait too long, he might succeed. In that moment, Dr. Klein suddenly turned, sensing something was off. Jack and Zira quickly ducked down, holding their breath as they watched him scan the room. "What was that?" Klein muttered, squinting into the shadows. "I know I'm not alone." Jack's heart raced as he realized they had to act fast. "Zira, we can't let him delete those files. We have to distract him." Without thinking, Zira sprang into action. "I'll create a diversion," she whispered urgently. Before Jack could stop her, Zira activated her communication device, sending out a series of alien sounds that echoed through the facility. The sound was eerie and otherworldly, causing Klein to freeze in confusion. "Wow, what is that?" Klein stammered, glancing around frantically. "Now," Jack shouted, springing into action. He raced into the lab, confronting Klein directly. "Stop what you're doing." Dr. Klein's eyes widened in shock. "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be in this area." "We know what you're up to, Klein. You're trying to destroy our research," Jack accused, stepping closer. "I'm protecting humanity from this alien menace," Klein shouted, his voice filled with anger. "You don't understand the danger." Jack took a deep breath, trying to keep his voice steady. "Zira is not a threat. She wants to help us, but you're letting fear control you." In that moment, Zira joined them, her eyes fierce. "You are blinded by your own fear, Dr. Klein. This research could lead to a better future for both our species. We cannot let fear dictate our actions." Dr. Klein took a step back, his resolve faltering. You don't understand. I can't let you continue this path. It could lead to our doom." With determination, Jack pointed to the recording device. "We have evidence now. You can't hide behind your fears anymore." As the confrontation escalated, they knew that the stakes were higher than ever. Jack and Zira had to confront not only Dr. Klein, but also the shadows of doubt that loomed over their mission. Would they be able to unite humanity and aliens against a common threat, or would fear tear them apart? The answers lay just ahead, in a battle not only for research but for their very future. The choice of unity. In the dimly lit lab, tension hung thick in the air. Jack and Zira stood firm against Dr. Klein, who was visibly shaken. His earlier confidence had begun to crumble under the weight of their conviction. "You're making a mistake, Klein," Jack urged, his voice steady. "This isn't just about you or your fears. It's about all of us. We can build something greater together." Klein's face twisted in indecision. "But what if you're wrong? What if humanity loses everything because we trusted an alien race?" Zira stepped closer, her expression softening. "I understand your fear, Dr. Klein. My people have faced similar challenges, but we must choose unity over division. Together, we can create a future where both humans and aliens thrive." Jack could see the gears turning in Klein's mind. He was caught between his deep-seated fears and the dawning realization that Zira and her people were not the enemy. "You're asking me to trust you, after everything I've seen." Suddenly, the alarms in the facility blared, interrupting their conversation. Red lights flashed, and the overhead speakers crackled to life. "Warning: security breach in the main research wing. All personnel, secure your positions." "What's happening?" Zira exclaimed, her antennae twitching with anxiety. "We need to find out," Jack replied, his instincts kicking in. "Klein, this could be the distraction we need. We need to work together." Dr. Klein's eyes narrowed as he glanced around. "Fine. If you really think your research is worth saving, let's see what's going on." They hurried through the facility, following the frantic security personnel. The hallways were filled with chaos, and Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. This was a chance not only to defend their work, but to unite under a common cause. As they reached the main research wing, they found a group of security guards cornering a figure in the shadows. It was another scientist, Dr. Leah, who had always been outspoken against the alien collaboration. "What are you doing, Leah?" Klein demanded, stepping forward. "What's going on?" "I'm trying to stop this madness before it's too late," Leah shouted defiantly. "The aliens can't be trusted. They'll take everything from us." "Leah, this isn't the way," Zira interjected, her voice firm but calm. "We're trying to save lives, including yours." Dr. Leah scoffed. "You think I'll believe that? You're here to take over." Jack stepped in front of Zira, feeling the weight of the situation. "You're wrong, Leah. We're here to collaborate, but we can't do it if you're trying to sabotage us." Leah's eyes flickered with uncertainty, and for a moment, Jack thought he saw a hint of doubt in her expression. "You're too naive to see the danger. This isn't just about you and your alien friend." "Enough," Klein shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. "If we don't stop this now, we'll lose everything. We need to stand together." Jack felt a surge of hope. Exactly. If we can unite our efforts, we can prove that collaboration is the way forward. "Leah, this isn't just about your fear. It's about our future." Leah hesitated, glancing between Jack, Zira, and Klein. The alarms still blared, but the urgency of the moment forced her to confront her own biases. "What do you suggest?" Jack took a deep breath. "We'll show everyone that humans and aliens can work together for a common goal. Let's gather evidence to counter the fears spreading throughout the facility. If we can present a united front, we can change minds." Klein nodded, his resolve returning. "I'll back you up, but we need to act fast. The longer we wait, the more damage can be done." With newfound purpose, they quickly formed a plan. Jack, Zira, Klein, and Leah would gather data, compile evidence of their research, and prepare a presentation for the facility's personnel. It was a race against time, but they had a chance to turn the tide. As they worked side by side, Jack marveled at the transformation taking place. Klein, once a staunch opponent, was now advocating for unity. Leah, too, was beginning to see that collaboration might not be a threat. Zira moved gracefully between them, her presence a reminder that hope was still possible. Hours later, they gathered in the central conference room, the atmosphere thick with uncertainty. Personnel from every department filled the seats, their eyes wary as they awaited the presentation. Jack stood at the front, his heart pounding. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady. "We know there have been concerns about our research and the alien collaboration. Today, we stand united to show you that fear can be overcome." Zira stepped forward, her voice filled with conviction. "I am here not as a conqueror, but as a partner. Together, we can create something beautiful, a bridge between our worlds that will enrich both our species." Klein and Leah joined them, creating a visual representation of their newfound alliance. "We have compiled evidence demonstrating the potential benefits of our work," Klein said. "This is not just about aliens. It's about humanity's future."